This right-wing TikToker appears to be bragging about having a fake vaccination card, which is pretty big if true because it's very much against the law. This is part of a much bigger trend of right-wingers deciding for themselves that they can fake government documents because they just don't want to get vaccinated, but they still want to show up to work, go to hockey games, and spread that coronavirus around. And some of the accusations of using fake vaccination cards include people as high profile as Evander Kane from the San Jose Sharks, who was accused of using a fake vaccine card. These Republicans seem to think that the rules don't apply to them. They seem to think that when they show up to protest mask mandates or storm Capitol buildings across the country, that the police are the ones that are there to support them. Now, the big irony about this is the fact that Republicans like to talk about law and order all the time. But then again, it's not really that ironic when you consider the fact that when these Republicans mean law and order, what they really mean is the over-policing of black communities. It's obviously very telling when we talk about mask mandates or vaccine cards, these Republicans seem to think that the rules don't apply to them. In fact, this incident that I talked about on Indisputable the other day shows a pretty clear example of that.
I need cops here right now! Give me a cop!
Where a man was accused of sexually harassing a waitress and was kicked out of a restaurant and thought that if he called 911, the police would do something to the restaurant owner. But this does reflect an underlying reality that people need to understand. You see, the police in the United States do have an incredibly racist history. The origin of modern policing in the United States literally came from slave patrols. So is it really so surprising that these Republicans, who are predominantly white to be very clear, think that the police won't do anything about their bad behavior, but will go out of their way to police their black neighbors? And there's plenty of data to back this up too. Like, for example, did you know that white Americans, statistically speaking, are more likely to be drug dealers than their black neighbors? Now, you wouldn't think that if you looked at crime statistics, because of course we all know policing as an institution in the United States is fundamentally racist at its core. And Richard Nixon's war on drugs was specifically meant to target black Americans in the anti-war left. So of course rich white suburbanites aren't being policed to the same degree that black neighborhoods are. And it's not really surprising, because there's clear political motivations behind who gets arrested and who doesn't. Which is why these Republicans feel like they can brag on the internet about breaking the law, and explains why they feel like they can scream at retail workers for no reason. They know that the primary institution of state violence, that is the police, is not going to spend any time focusing on the misdeeds of rich white suburbanites, and that the police themselves as an institution are largely there to protect capital and the interests of the wealthy. So of course, police officers are going to be far less lenient with retail workers than they will be with angry customers. This structural reality has created a cultural reality where Republicans feel like they can go and do whatever they want. It's the reason why there's this incredibly popular phenomena of typically upper middle class white folks making themselves famous on the internet by screaming at random people. It's also why these same people respond with such outrage when we suggest that we should fundamentally change what public safety means in this country. This is Ben Carollo with Rebel Headquarters. You can catch my show Galaxy Brain every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on the Young Turks Twitch channel. You can also follow me on Twitter if you want to stay up to date with my content.